All right, it is 11:31 here, so we'll go ahead and get started. But hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Alertus Power Lunch, User Management and Alertus Console Customization. My name is Sarah, and I'm a trainer here at Alertus. During this session, we'll walk you through the process of updating user roles and assigning restrictions, allowing you to tailor each individual's permissions in the Alertus console to fit their unique needs. Plus, we'll also dive into how to modify Alertus console settings to apply system-wide changes that enhance your organization's alerting capabilities. This is an interactive session, so please feel free to ask any questions using the Q&A feature or putting them in the chat. Also, please be aware that this session is being recorded for training purposes. But without further introduction, Brooke, let's go ahead and get started.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, Sarah. So as Sarah mentioned, we're going to be taking a look at how to manage your user settings. So I'm going to share my screen. And we are going to log into the console as an administrator. And when you come here, in a former training, we had covered this in the settings section down here. This is where you can go and you can set up any settings that affect all users. So if you want to come down here and you want to disable desktop activation for all users or disable rapid activation for all users, then you can come and save, and then every user will not be able to access this on their console. I'm going to turn those back on just before I forget. But these are settings that, once again, affect everyone. So you can come in here, enable, disable features, set some defaults, set some security. These settings are super handy and, once again, affect everyone. However, if you wanted to just have specific users set with specific access, then that is going to live in the configure system settings underneath users and access rights. So when you come to users and access rights, this place allows you to manage the users, their roles, and their restrictions, which we'll get into the difference about down below. And this is where, like I said, you can make it very customized for any user in the system. So when you come down here, these are all the users that can log into my console right here. As you can see, they are all enabled, which means they are active and can log in. They all have a role because roles are mandatory. Restrictions, though, are optional. So only one of my users has a restriction. And once again, down here is roles and here's restrictions, and we'll get into that in a minute. But when I go in to add a user, it's very easy. So when I'm manually adding a user, so I'm not adding them from Active Directory, I'm coming in here, I'm giving them a username. So whatever username you want, you can use emails, anything like that. You are enabling them, or if you want to turn one off, you can as well. You have to give them a role from the ones that you've already created. And then once again, the restrictions are optional. So you can come here and do that. You would put in their email address, any notes that you would like, but once again, those are optional. And then you can either invite them to create their own password via email, or you can manually create a password for that user here. So very simple to add a new user. The main things you need to know about are the difference between roles and restrictions. So below here, these are the 4 user roles that I currently have in my system. If the admin, preset only, and user do come standard with each Alertus console. And as you can see, the admin is not editable, clonable, or deletable because this is going to be, you're going to be needing to have at least one admin at all times. So we don't want to delete that at all. But you can come in here and edit the rest of them or add new ones as well. So let me go into this preset only role. As you can see at the top, it has a name. We've given it a restriction. And then the first drop down here is homepage layout. And so homepage is going to be this section right here. So this is our homepage. As an administrator, you have this button up here at the top that says manage homepage. So when I click that, I'm able to select which reports and graphs and charts that administrators see, but I'm also able to give it to different specific roles. So my administrator layout has has all of the admin warnings, has different reports, has all of these things that you can see a lot more action on this page. My preset only layout only has my quick access menu and my support information. So you can make it, once again, very simple to people can log in and see things that they only need to see with certain roles. You can also come here to manage layouts, and in this section, you can assign the roles here. So administrator layout, I'll make sure that my admin has this role, and I'll submit that. My preset only layout, I'll make sure that my preset only, and then I'll give my users. So this is a spot where you can manage the homepage and set these settings up for the different layouts. And so then when you come down here to users and access rights, and you are setting up those roles, then you are able to then choose which layout you want to give them there too. So that's what that dropdown is about. The rest of the Alertus console permissions are very self-explanatory. It's basically which things do you want people to see. So right now I have selected that I want this preset only user to only be able to send preset activations. So as an admin, I still see all of the other types. I didn't disable it for everyone. I just disabled it for this specific user role. So I only have preset activations. Maybe I also want them to cancel alerts. Right now, they don't have access to any reports. I could give them full access to the reports, or maybe I just want them to have the alert history report, or maybe no reports at all. And then you can set this up for dashboards and the map center. And then in the configuration setting, which is all of these things on this side, the configure system, you can really customize this section. So you can allow people to have full access to all view, edit, add, and delete, or you can just have people view the alert services. Or if you want to be able to view and add contacts, then you can. So once again, you can make this very customizable. Something that I recommend giving access to for all of your users is the ability to view preset alerts. And what that is going to allow your users to do is to add things to your quick access menu. So when you come here to this section right here, people will be able to star things if they can see them in their preset actions here. So for this role, this preset only user role, as I said, they only can send presets. They have no reports. They have no dashboards. They can view preset alerts in the configure system settings, but they cannot edit, delete, or add anything. They cannot see any system errors. And so I'll save this and we can take a look at this role in a minute. But very customizable. You can come here to the user and this person has much more privileges, but not all of them. So once again, very customizable. The roles are mandatory. The restrictions are optional. So the only one that has a restriction here is my preset only user, and they have this preset only building to restriction. And what that looks like when I come in here is you can further limit what people see on the pages that you've granted them access to. So maybe I have granted them access to preset activations, but maybe I don't want them to have every single preset. So I can come here and I can set just what specific presets they want to have. So I have only the building 2 presets and then the medical emergency and all clear that are needed for all of my users. So instead of seeing all 50 some of these presets, they're just going to see the ones that are checked. You can do the same for alert profiles, units, and groups if you would like to. I think best practices is to live in the preset section, but if you have a very complicated setup and configuration with lots of different campuses and buildings, and you want to make sure that people are restricted in that realm as well, feel free to utilize these as well. So this user has these preset restrictions, and they have this preset only role. So I'm going to log in as my preset only user to show you what it looks like on their end of things. So let me log out as an admin. And I'm going to log in as my preset only user. As you can tell, we just have the home page looks different. And on the left side bar, I only have preset activations. I only have underneath configure system settings, I only have preset alerts. And in here, I only have the 5 that I've selected. I cannot add them. I cannot edit, delete, clone. I cannot do any actions to them, but I can add them to my quick access menu. So if I want to star these top 3, I can come here and now they're here. And as well as on my homepage, now they're here. So that's why you would give the ability to view for the quick access and the presets as well. but this makes it very simplified for specific users. They can log in, they won't have to see anything that is not applicable to them. It's a lot more user friendly. If you only want them to send presets, you don't need them to configure anything. Like I said, you can come in here and build that out to make sure that it's simple for them, and also to make sure maybe you don't want people to have access to configuring your system because only the IT team does that, or only the emergency management team does that. So no one's going to mess up with how things are configured. It's already set up and it's good to go. So it's definitely a great place to customize in your console if you haven't yet already. Another thing that I wanted to demonstrate for this is great, like I said, for preset only users or for limited activator users, but this can also be used for administrators. So for example, as an admin, when you log in, you have access to everything in here. But let's say your system, you have alert beacons, you have text-to-speech speakers, but you don't have an HPSA unit. You don't have desktop. You don't have Wi-Fi panic buttons. You don't have all of these things on this side that are here in case you do have that system. But now that you have built out your solution, there are some things here that aren't applicable to you. So you can add a specific role and assign it to yourself if you want to make your own experience a little easier. So you can come here and say admin custom role, or whatever you want to put, like your organization name. You can set it. You can still have your administrator home layout if you would like to. And yeah, like you want to be able to cancel alerts. You want to do almost all of these things, but you don't have desktop. So I'm going to skip desktop activation so that doesn't go there. Also, maybe you don't have iPause because that's a FEMA national, like federal government specific thing. So I won't have that either. I definitely want all of my reports that I have, but I don't have 911 Connect. So I'm going to leave that report off. And then for dashboards, I don't have an HPSA, I don't have iPause, and I don't have lightning detection. So I only want my event dashboard. Maybe I want my map center, and then I can come down here to configuration as well. So I want all my alert devices, alert profiles, alert services, contacts are handy, custom event triggers for sure. But desktop, I don't need because I don't have desktop. So I will skip those. I can do device assignment rules. I don't have 911 Connect. I can skip that one too. I don't have fire alarms. I can skip that one too. But I want groups. I want homepage. I don't have an HPSA. I don't need to worry about that. I don't have iPause, like you said. Okay, I'll add the ones that are applicable. Desktop panic button profiles, once again, don't need those. So you're just coming in here and just making it a little bit more simple for yourself. USB panic buttons, don't need those. And there we go. And then I want to see my system errors. I don't have Wi-Fi panic buttons, but I'll add this role. So now let me come in here and I will just assign this role so I can log in and show that to my admin custom role. And I can come here and save, and then I'll log out and show you what that looks like as well. So now I have the 3 types of activations that are actually applicable to me. I can get rid of that. I only have the event dashboard. I have the reports that are applicable to me. And then in the configure system settings, I only have these settings that are applicable to me. So I don't have to worry about navigating any sort of pages or being like, what does desktop profiles actually mean? Oh, it's not applicable to my solution. So if you wanted to make this even simpler for yourself, you could do that as well. Oops, I didn't mean to stop sharing my page. So you can see that some of these you don't have permission to view information on this widget, that those would be specific to the admin privileges. So you want to make sure that that potentially is something to look into, and you can manage home pages with that. If you want to just have the default instead, you can do that. But once again, a great thing to play around with and make sure that you are customizing it to fit the needs of your organization. So yeah. I believe that's all that I was going to cover today. I covered the user roles restrictions. Once again, if you want to turn things off for everyone, you can come here and just turn desktop off here for everyone if you don't have desktop activation. So there are a bunch of spaces for you to be able to set these settings, but users and access rights, I feel like, is probably one of the things I talk most about in my trainings with people, because it is a little bit underutilized, and we want to make sure that you are giving access to people who need it and simplifying the process for people who don't. Because simplifying saves time and therefore saves lives when there's that emergency situation. All right, so now I actually will stop sharing my screen and we will open it up to any questions. I believe the chat is open. Oh, and I will also in the chat send that, or Sarah, do you have the link or should I
Yes,
pull?
I have it
Okay,
pulled up, so I
I'll
can
throw it back
send
over to
it.
Sarah.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brooke. Yes, as Brooke mentioned, please feel free to put any questions in the Q&A box or the chat. Also, I'm going to share a couple of links in the chat to everyone. This first one is the article on our customer portal called User Guide, Users and Access Rights. So this will walk you through everything Brooke talked about from that Users and Access Rights page. So you can customize what each user role sees and any restrictions. And then I'm also going to put in another link to the customer portal article about the Alertus console settings so that you can also have that if you want to review any of the settings on that page. There we go. And yeah, so we will definitely hang around for a few more minutes if there are any questions. But for everyone that joined today, thank you very much for coming on your Friday and spending some time with us here. Hopefully we'll see you for some future power lunches. We have some good topics coming up. The next one on the 14th will be about managing message templates and creating endpoint behavior to make sure your devices have the specific settings that you want. So hopefully we'll see you next week for that one.
Awesome. Thank you all. And like I said, we'll be sticking around for a little bit if you do have any questions in the chat or Q&A box.